Like my ancestors, I could, if needed to, recite a story to the young to persuade them a lesson I wish to teach. It's almost become my job, on top of duties and the gifts bestowed upon me. However, with this one, I'm never sure where to begin. Do I start when it's too long ago for most of my colleagues to remember, or start with the one you might actually know by name? Even then, do I start with its birth, its encounters with an odd species never imagined, or perhaps... Well, often or not, the tragedy is where I begin this tale. Later, the intelligent will bring the clues along the way together, and when the books close with a puff of dust, it will be completed. Of course, no story is without its setting. You might have guessed my kind did not step on the same land as yours. Well, not exactly. I guessed a border of dimension would keep anyone out. We have definitely evolved differently. We look nothing alike, actually. Our race is not split into countries, but one vast Zicondria. On top a hill as giant as a mountain, surrounded by cliffs and meadows. We do not wear clothes, we do not have hands, we do not live in democracy, and we don't even name our own children the same. An oracle society was simple. The emperor was the psychic, me, who every 1,000 years received an apprentice if he or she should ever decease. Your name was based upon your prophecy, and once on rare occasions based upon your gift. They were used to manipulate or enhance the natural or artificial. We lived simply, but happily. My race. What? Did you presume we were the only ones? The planet we lived upon was 4 times the size of Little Earth. 4 times the size, 4 intelligent species. There was the Catos, a race that evolved from the canine family tree, a military society seen over by a Caesar. They were respected but feared greatly. Their history is filled with past victories, slaughters, and fascist rulers over time, and any army to oppose them never lasted a week. You couldn't speak about Zicondria without eventually coming across the topic of triogryphs, a small species covering little amounts of land separated into 3 2 tribes, highly religious, seen over by a pharaoh and their chosen successor. Their history was filled with magic, mystery, and secrets from agriculture and jewels. And of course there were the guitars. It is difficult to describe such a race to a human mind, but I will try my best. Large, a very hefty and muscle-powered species. Perhaps they resemble a similarity of your prehistoric feline creature, the Smilodon, but the point is not to dwell on their looks. Despite their intimidating structure, they were once renowned artists, musicians, and crafters. They were also known for their metal manufacturing. Unfortunately, the necks, or that is what they wished to call their part of the land, had a king that over time became corrupt, and it passed on to his son, who took the throne. The story. Yes, I was getting to that. You see, the species used to live peacefully with one another, or at least tolerate each other. It was until a certain beast filled with hatred and revenge tore our harmony apart like a thin piece of parchment. The turmoil propelled us into a world to never have conviction for any, turning our backs on the Allies. This gave an opening for our enemies. It was something foreseen I'd take full responsibility for. But being arrogant, I thought he would disappear into the darkness after he was exiled, never to resurface again. You see, I had an infant at the time, and I couldn't dwell on the past or the monster's pleas or wishes. A next generation was blossoming. I had to, of course, put safety first. I propose you too would do the same if he threatened and nearly murdered your daughter. Still, it was 3 years since the incident, and it was time to reunite with old comrades. On that fateful spring day, when the dew on the leaves was just beginning to evaporate, they were to gather and finally stitch up the threading of our kingdoms. And that is where our story begins.